The temporary restraining order may be dismissed if the judge finds the defendant more credible than the plaintiff, or if a final restraining order is not the appropriate remedy, when simply living apart without a court order will prevent further domestic violence. If the temporary restraining order is dismissed, there is no longer an open case in front of the judge, and no requests for relief will be entertained. This also means that all of the restraints within the temporary restraining order are dismissed. Neither the plaintiff nor the defendant may ask for help from the court on that day. It also means that the defendant is no longer restrained from contact with the plaintiff. The defendant will be able to return to a shared residence and will be free to have contact with the children unless there are other court orders restricting those actions. It is always a good idea to prepare for the dismissal of the restraining order beforehand by evaluating different safety measures that you may want to take. If you and the defendant live in the same home, it may be a good idea to take some of your personal items and important papers from the home and leave them in your car or in some other safe place on the day of the hearing. This is so that you do not have to return to the home with the defendant if he chooses to return to the home. While dismissal of a temporary restraining order is not a result that you want to think about, it is a good idea to prepare for it beforehand by evaluating different safety measures. You should therefore think about safe places that you, your children, and your pets can go if the temporary restraining order is dismissed. If the temporary restraining order is dismissed, you don't have to return home with the abuser in order to get your things. It is important to keep in mind that even if you are not granted a final restraining order, there is still protection against domestic violence. If the defendant or anyone else harms or threatens to harm you in the future, you can report it to the police. You always have the option of filing for another temporary restraining order if you suffer another act of domestic violence. Agencies such as Legal Services of New Jersey are available to answer any questions and help guide you towards a safer future. If no trusted family or friends live nearby who can provide a place to stay, temporary emergency shelters may be available for you or your children, but typically not for pets. In some cases, public assistance may also be available in the form of welfare, emergency assistance, and food stamps.
If you need legal advice or representation, you can see if you are eligible for our services by calling 1-888-LSNJ-LAW or completing our online intake at www.lsnjlawhotline.org.